Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you're at in the world. Welcome to episode 64 of RareFUD Radio. It's your boy, Dorian, and every day is a holiday. Happy to be here. Unfortunately, our boy Bison, is out for the day, but don't worry, myself and Joe will be holding it down. We got a ton to talk about today. Man, the market's moving on the one side. We got John Lay making some massive sales over on Exchange Art. We got Catalina Wells just recently released Nakamoto Wells. That's cooking over there. We had some huge sales on that auction. And finally, we got Toonies. Pretty slow mint, but hey, the floor price of that is moving now. But before we get into any more market updates, I want to bring on our boy Joe. Joe, how you doing today, man?
Hey, Dor, we're doing good, brother. Doing very well, man. Excited to be here, holding it down without our man, our leader here. Let the teenagers out to play today. So yeah, I'm excited. Excited to talk some market play.
Same here, dog. Same, man. Not gonna lie, it's a bit nervous without our fearless leader here, man. But you know what? We're holding down. But before we go, let's jump into market updates and check out how the market's doing. Bison probably already would have had this pulled up by now, so I'm like stumbling through it. Here we are. Yeah, Magic Eden is at 67% of market volume, man. It's over 105K market volume. Tensor's pulling in around 18.95, 19%, and Hay Swap's around 7.7%. Right now, and lastly, Exchange Art, it's doing about less than 1%, so 1.23K sold volume. So right now, the market seems kind of a bit slow. I mean, we're not breaking all-time highs on volume. What's your take on the market, Joe? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, so the market in general, Bitcoin dominance is occurring here. You're going to see people going into BTC. I think ETH, obviously, at this point, has kind of made itself above an altcoin. It's kind of just the second in charge now, especially with deflationary burning mechanics it has for everything. So macro-wise, man, dollar's looking iffy, and I'm hoping we can get a nice rally on Sol just for it being, a top market cap altcoin here. If BTC dominance takes a roll down to like 40% with resistance at like upwards 50%-ish where we're pushing. So other than that, our echo chamber is looking pretty strong for Sol, right? We have the same liquidity as always, but you're seeing which projects are getting sought after for the macro play, either real utility play or real IP or real community. You're kind of seeing the sand being sifted in a good sense. So yeah, man, I'm excited for where we are. I think we've seen the worst of it. If we see anything else, it won't be anything that we haven't seen before.
Oh yeah, dude. I appreciate that your analysis on the macro market update, and I definitely agree with you on what's going on in the NFT space. But before we go any further, and because Bison's not here, I want to bring up our special guest for today, our boy Shake. What's going on, Shake? Thanks for coming on the show today, man, to fill in for Bison.
What up, guys? Thanks for having me. Sorry I'm a little bit late.
Holy moly, this is the biggest, nicest, sweetest surprise in the world. I had no idea this was happening. Shake just came in like the Kool-Aid man. I'm stoked, bro. What's up, dude?
Good. Glad to be here, bro.
Glad to have you here, man. I appreciate you coming in last minute. It's great. Me and Joe could hold it down, but it's always better with three people. So appreciate it, man. I do want to ask before we start moving on, how are you feeling about the NFT market and the overall crypto market?
Oh man, the 5-minute chart or the 5-second chart?
Hey, whatever chart you're using, dog.
Man, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts, but on Solana NFTs, like, just clear that there's optimism in the market again, and that's exciting. Like, whether or not we have net new participants, people are willing to like risk their capital, and that means that you can make money, and that's cool. And it's cool to see like my friends' projects selling out and doing well and shit. I'm pretty stoked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, man. And we're going to definitely get into Toonies a bit later. And while I went over volume of Magic Eden right before you got on, and it's around 105K. and they pretty much recaptured the dominant market share. But there still feels like there's life in the market, and it's kind of like, even as I talked about this on the last episode, it's like this lull in the bull. But I think once we get a couple hype mints, such as the heist, which is coming up, I think we'll really see some more liveliness in the NFT market. And as we get closer to NFT New York, where projects will start announcing things and dropping teasers, I think we'll start running on that end. But let's start moving on into like some major sales that really happened recently on the one-of-one art side of things. And I'm glad you're here, Shake, because you're also a one-of-one art collector. Joe, I don't know if you hold any one-of-one pieces, dog. I don't even think that's your type of trading style, but I would love your opinion on these things. John Lay recently sold a piece for 1,500 sold. That's around 30K, man. That's pretty impressive. Seeing these type of large purchases on the one-of-one side, for me, is extremely, extremely bullish. One of the best utilities for NFTs, still in my opinion, other than community, is just art. I think one of the most long-term things where NFT will have some of the most staying power is just curating fine art on blockchain. And having a piece sell for that high shows there's a lot of interest, not only in the one-of-one space, but specifically John Lay. And this guy is pretty much setting himself, if he's not already, one of the most premier artists on Solana. With all the talk of him potentially releasing a generative collection, we've already seen price action in GM go up. IOTA's been slowly creeping up. But yeah, man, this is pretty crazy in my opinion. What are your thoughts about this, Joe?
Yeah, so I honestly come to you and Shake for any type of one-on-one advice. The only thing I do hold is some John Lee pieces and some J Shep stuff. But yeah, I'm not a big, so I'm actually excited to hear what Shake's got to say and what you think here, Dor. I don't have much skin in the game here.
No,
I'm
I
much
understand,
like
man.
Shay. I'm 5 minutes to 10 minutes, maybe a day at the most. I'm in and out of everything. Soul Sniper had my average trading length as for my wallets as a 5-day hold, and you got to remember I have had my DGOD for almost a year plus, so I probably don't hold it longer than 2 days. So yeah, I'm excited to hear what you guys are saying here.
Yeah, that makes sense, Joe. And if it's along your trading style, like you keep buying one-of-ones that are hyper illiquid, it just would make much sense for what your best skill set is, and that's just like short-term trading, dog. You're top tier in your field at that. But Shake, I want to pass it over to you, man. What do you think about this recent John Lay sale?
It's sick, dude. Is there a place we can? I'm stoked about it. Is there a place that you can look at the volume of exchange art? I guess on Hello Moon.
You can look at that on TXO as well. I'll drop you the link.
TXO. I see, dude. For me, trading NFTs, I'm a lot less like metric driven, I guess, or a lot of times I just do it completely by like feel and shit that I see on Twitter. Like I look at the charts, but I'm just kind of curious because that was probably a good chunk of the daily volume on exchange art when he did that sale. But I'm curious if there's any kind of trend that we can see on like a monthly basis,
Yeah, no. I agree with you, and I that's one of the reasons we vibe so well on trading, because you are a technical trader on the coin side, but when it comes to NFTs, you and I mostly align too, where I don't pay much attention to the charts. I just check social sentiment, and there's been a clear one-of-one narrative and not one-of-one, but a one-of-one artist narrative going on. I think that's one of the things why we saw Bonk Z kind of propel itself to what 20 sold that it did. That's why people were hyped on the Cleanosaur drops, because of these working with one-of-one artists. And it's really great to see one-of-one artists finally get more recognition within the space and not just be known for working on a generative collection. But where do you foresee this trend continuing, where these sales are going to get higher and higher throughout the year? I think there's a solid trend of that. Clearly with Sleeper, I know you're probably one of the largest Sleeper.
I hope we get the Sleeper 30K sales, man. I think you'll get there,
man.
I think I know the guy who sold that John Lay. I think it was Prim. I want to say Primitive Money. Do you know if that's true?
Yeah, Google. Yeah.
He's the one who sold
I can double check it. Let me pull up the tweet.
He either sold it or bought it, because in one of my chats they were like, "Oh, congrats, Prim." I think he sold it. But yeah, dude. I think you like this fine art stuff. It holds up better with like the token volatility. compared to the PFPs and stuff. It's also like way more liquid. So like the floor price, you don't have like undercutters on the floor and like one of one.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's hard to make a sale. Like I just had my sleeper listed at like 220 for a while and like didn't get any bids. And then, you know, it could easily sit there for a month. Right.
Yep.
It's really difficult, especially on Solana. It's even, you know, it's even more liquid, obviously. But I do think like if you can have some patience and risk to not have the liquidity to exit, if you can take that risk, then they hold up better in like the bear trends. So
yeah, no, I agree with you, man.
I mean, like you said, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's been the trend of one-of-one art being able to uphold its value better than things on the generative side. I think one of the Boogles, I think AK made a joke about John Lape's piece being better than a stable coin in the bear. And then we saw Adam Ape's Voxel Monkey. That only significantly increased in value throughout the bear market. So there's a clear trend of these one-of-one artists with a lot of Web 2 connections and experiences, one-of-one pieces maintaining and increasing value over time. I foresee this space being around for a while. So I just think picking up a one-of-one, an addition for some of these premier artists on Solana is a low-risk, high-reward play. And if you have the type of liquidity where you can purchase one of these additions or a one-of-one piece from the artist to just let it sit there, I think it'll pay itself back over time. It'll just be a long-term play. I know when I first got back into Cyber Samurai almost, a year and a half ago? Jesus, man, time flies. Shake was like buying sleeper pieces nonstop, but that was like over a year ago, but it paid off. And I think it'll continue to pay. Sleeper is a well-known artist within the NFT side, one of the only Solana artists that's listed on Super Rare, and as a super experienced Web 2 artist. So yeah, I'm definitely got my eyes out on that piece, and that's some alpha for you guys as well. Probably like high valued alpha, but it's still alpha nonetheless. But talking all this one-of-one talk kind of leads us in. Go ahead, Shake.
I was going to say if I could share my screen because there's this thing.
Yeah. There's this little, if you look next to the camera button, there to the right of that, you can just press screen share and it's there.
Oh, there we go. I just couldn't see where it said screen. Okay, so, okay. Like, so, sorry, bro. It took me a second to, is it sharing my screen? I can't fucking tell. I haven't used Restream.
Yep.
Okay. It took me a second to get my head kind of dialed here, but like when I'm thinking about one-of-one art and just the NFT market, like I have to think about it in the context of the market as a whole. And I don't really like think I have an edge in predicting the macro like credit cycles and bull and bear markets in the stock market, but within crypto, I do I know the crypto market pretty well. I'd like to think after doing this shit 2 years for every day. Anyways, right now, like with Bitcoin, Bitcoin has its NFTs too, which you guys have probably talked about, but like Bitcoin just broke out of the 9-month range. Like, and whether you believe in TA or not, like I think it's important to understand that if you look at like the weekly chart, because Bitcoin is like, so I know it's fucking dumping right now or whatever, but let me show you. Like, it's incredibly fucking bullish, bro. And I know Joe's been in the VC talking about this as well. Like, this is the biggest weekly rally on Bitcoin in like 2 years or something, maybe a year and a half. I don't know. But yeah, Bitcoin break out of this 9-month range that it had been in, where FTX happened, all that bullshit happened, et cetera. And you have, what was the other thing I was going to say? You have the strongest narrative for Bitcoin ever, in my opinion. And this is the thing I wanted to show you is like, there's an infographic where you can look at the narratives. It's actually kind of humor because the narratives for Bitcoin or ETH like change all the time. Like people just make narratives to fit the price. But, Bitcoin was like eCash, and then it was censorship resistant gold or payments network. It was uncorrelated financial asset. These are all over time, the different narratives of Bitcoin. Let me see if I can open this image. And so anyways, fast forward to 2023 and you have these banks failing. And it's literally like when Bitcoin was created, like in like the first block, Satoshi wrote something about, I forget what the quote is, but like, that's like why Bitcoin was created. And then now it's happening again, 12 years later. And so you have this
Yeah.
really strong narrative tailwind. You have the price fucking ripping, pumping. And then you had all this bearish news thrown at us. USDC was depegging. Fucking Binance is getting a Wells notice. Coinbase is getting a Wells notice, blah, blah, blah. And the price keeps fucking pumping. It's like the most bullish pump I've ever fucking seen. It's so bullish. And like, I think a lot of people are discounting that. And so when I think about the art market, and specifically, I want to sell my shit for ridiculous prices, right? And when does that happen? It happens in peak bull cycles, in like euphoric moments where guys just made $1 million and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking buy this $100,000 piece of art. So I think
everybody becomes an art larper.
Really, like, yeah, dude. So my point being is like, I don't think it's a bull market right now or whatever. I mean, but I think over the next year, like shit is going to start to get crazy, and like that's how I'm positioning the market. So I feel good buying expensive art right now because I'm like, if I'm right on the particular artist and the piece, like I think I'm going to be able to be liquid with this and take profit within like the next year or two. And I didn't feel like that when I was buying Sleeper like 6 months ago, for example. So
dude,
yeah,
that was amazingly said, Shake, and I completely agree with you, dog. Did a little bit of different analytical approach to it, but yeah, man, that your reasoning behind it and talking about the trends and how art is most liquid and of course at the top of a bull cycle, and how all these negative things that could be perceived as negative is actually bullish for Bitcoin and the future of crypto. Yeah, man, dude, that was a great analysis. Joe, do you have anything to say on the recent price action of BTC and all the recent FUD that's been coming around about it?
No, I'm heavy TA. I've been watching regression bands from Shake said it beautifully put, by the way, brother. You're articulate. Loved everything you said. And yeah, from the micro low to micro high. I mean, the initial low from the initial high of BTC, right? It's swing low to swing high. If it's in infancy, we run regression bands off of that, and 28,000 roughly is a 1.618 regression band. It's a very highly traded area. Volume profile is heavy here, and I think we will see a disbelief rally to $32,000, right? As BTC accumulates the fear of the dollar and the macro situation. From that, you have BTC dominance roll back down to like 40%. What happens there? Your alts rip, right? We do not need to see a blow off top yet, but I do think we have a chance of a disbelief rally in the works here. And alts will take time, but that the path forward, right, is BTC rips, dominance rolls down to support, checks support as alts rip, as BTC starts to claim that alt hype back to BTC, NFTs coil in the sidetrack crab market, NFTs go, and then we see everything kind of fizzle back down. So that's what I'm kind of looking at for right now in the micro, next 3 to 6 months.
Yo, that's great, Joe.
It's been like, to me, this whole time has been this kind of disbelief rally. And then we had that flash crash, the USDC thing. And like, that was a nice fucking dip to buy. And I think people were scared to buy that dip, it ripped back up, and now they're waiting for a dip to 25K. And I like, honestly don't think they're going to get it. I think I agree completely with Joe. Like, cause like when you think about what does a disbelief rally means, it means that there's people who want to buy crypto. The price starts going without them. Some people are buying it, right? You run out of sellers, and there's more buyers than sellers. The price starts going up. More people want to buy it, and they're waiting. Oh shit, the price keeps fucking going up. I don't have the Bitcoin I wanted to buy, and they're gonna have to buy. These people keep having to buy at higher prices, which is what fucking pushes it up. So that's kind of like what I was saying about the Solana NFT market. You don't have new participants, but you don't necessarily need new participants to make the price go up. Like, in a quote unquote bull run, that's how I define a bull run, is like the new participants, the euphoria. But you don't need that to make money. You just need volatility, and like that's what we're getting.
Well, Shake, and I guess this leads us perfectly into our next topic about not needing new participants to make money, and also a blend with with BTC is Catalina Wells' auction of Nakamoto Wells. Honestly, this one kind of shook. I was in disbelief. I don't fade Catalina Wells, and I'll get into this a bit later, but I didn't expect for the Well-Chew Nakamoto well to sell for 1 BTC. Maybe that it's the Nakamoto well. Yes, man, it sold for 1 Bitcoin.
Holy
shit.
Dog.
That's That's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty impressive. And shout outs to the Catalina Well team over there. I know So Big Brain came in with a bid for like half a BTC. So that's pretty awesome. And also the Well Chew Nakamoto well is inscribed on a rare Satoshi. So that might have helped his value as well. Also, the Catalina Wells floor price is up. I think last time I checked is around 38 to 40. And maybe that had to do with the promotion, because if you purchased 5 wells and floated them or staked them, you were eligible to get 1 free Nakamoto well. And if you purchased 2 wells and floated them, you had an opportunity to win 1. So I'm really curious about how this price action is going to work on the Catalina well side, post their snapshot or whatnot, but also what do they have coming? Because one of the things that Catalina Wells, in my opinion, had issues with is showing what value, why do you need to hold this NFT? I know they had a huge announcement with Def Jam and So Big Brain changing his profile pic to be more supportive of Catalina Wells. Might have been some cost to that as also. But regardless, this Well Chew selling for 1 Bitcoin is pretty impressive. Like, Joe, what do you think about this sell, man?
Yeah, and it just shows that there is there's a want for it from a psychological standpoint, right? There's a want for this product, and I think ordinals, especially for a lot of people that are BTC maxis, they start to change their thought from flipping alts for BTC and flipping ordinals for BTC, and I think we're starting to see that happen, right? Like, I just truly think that once there's a good marketplace, an easy wallet, which we're already getting so quickly. I think about every other ecosystem that's taken off. It's taking a long time to get an interface, a usability accessible to the public, right? So for the ordinals, like, they're already building those things out. And I can see people going from, ETH/BTC trading to ordinal trading because they don't have to leave their precious asset, right? It's always BTC to them. It's always a Satoshi. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I think there is a market for it. I think that, like we said before, I don't think inscriptions over a certain amount are going to be much other than the shit we see go down, depreciate by 99%. Like any other NFT project, but I do think there will be some like Catalinas, the D-Gods, the Yugas, and then under 25,000 inscriptions. I think there will be a market for those, and there will be a market for like mint and print season as well as this goes on. So as you're seeing it, right? So yeah, man.
No, that was well said, Joe, and I agree with you, dog. Shake, what's your opinion on this, man?
Man, I tweeted about it, like, because honestly, I'm jealous of them as a project founder, because I'm like, that's and I have respect for them that they were able to sell for that high. That's sick. Because I was clowning on them. I was honestly clowning on them for it. I think we both kind of were. I was very publicly clowning on them from the Cyber Samurai account, but not them personally, but just that, like, because it seemed like, I think the day I did it, someone had done ordinals. It was like I saw Bubble Goose and Monkey DAO doing it, and I was like, bro, like this is getting old, but it's sick for them, dude. And I love what Joe just said. It's so simple, dude. That Bitcoin people, like Bitcoin maxis, have a way to speculate and flip within Bitcoin. Like that's all that crypto is, and they've never had that besides trading like perpetuals and like derivatives and shit, which I don't think that many of them do. This is fucking on chain, and it has pictures and communities. Like, we all know how fun NFTs are. So I think ordinals are pretty sick, and congrats to Catalina Wells. That's dope.
Yeah.
Did they just? I want to ask you a question, George. Did they just sell 1 for that much, and then they're doing a public mint for the rest?
Yeah, I'm not too sure on the rest of the details. The Well Chew was up for auction. There were 2 other ones. One, I think, was a black one was given away randomly to a person who was randomly given away to a person who auctioned put an auction in on that piece, and I think the other one who got it was just an individual who floated a well or whatnot, but I'm not too sure on that. I did want to talk about, though, because as you mentioned, Jake, you did make a good point of a whole bunch of people or projects such as Bubble Goose and SMB, which is not connected to Monkey DAO, so don't confuse them, releasing an ordinals project. But I don't think SMB did that too well. Neither did Bubble Goose. So what do you think the factor is for success of projects to be able to, have successful auctions and raise a whole bunch of money from these auctions, and other projects that, try to release ordinals on there but fail miserably?
That's a good question, bro. I don't even know what whales did like to market
Yeah.
it. Do you know? Did they do
No, I
anything
mean,
unique or
I don't
like?
I don't think they
I
did
saw it on my
anything
timeline,
over the top.
so that's a
Yeah, I
good
don't think
sign.
they did any. Yeah, I know, right? I don't think they did anything over the top. But one of my theories is that your community, you have a lot of a lot of members in your community with a pretty deep liquidity, man. We see that with the DGods community. In their ability to raise 5 mil from their DGods, because I don't think, I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like these auctions are going to new liquidity or individuals who have never been in NFTs before. They're usually from people within the community. Do you guys know if that's right or not?
Joe might know better than me. I don't know, dude. I'm so out of touch with the ordinal stuff.
No, I don't know much about ordinals either. I just kind of know
Okay.
like the paradigm of it, and what no, not even the paradigm of it. What I would like to see to get myself trading within that market would to be an adoption by the base level maxi to kind of switch that paradigm into trading. So I'm not, yeah. Other than that, I'm not too sure. Like the tech itself, even kind of is wild to me. Like, like you're inscribing into a Satoshi. Like, so how, like, what's the security base off that? Like, how easy it to send a Satoshi out that's inscribed? Like, like that.
Yeah.
Is that a weird question to ask? Like, because I'm such a noob when it comes to it. Like,
Yeah, man. They're I guess they're. I'm not. I think wallets are being created, if not already created, to send out individual sats, because right now most wallets read all sats as a sat regardless of inscription. So you could send your sat that's worth 400K to Coinbase because it has an inscription on it, and you'll be like, oh crap, I lost that. But I want to continue this conversation, but we also have another guest. JS, welcome to the show, man. Glad you made time to come by.
Thank you for having me, guys. How we doing?
Hey, man, every day's a holiday, dog. And I guess
let's
you jumped in
go.
at a
What up,
perfect
JS?
time, because we're like talking about one-of-one collections and one-of-one collectors and ordinals, which is really, in my opinion, focused on high-valued art and really trying to separate, make unique one-of-ones within your collection. So what do you think about this most recent Nakamoto sale, JS?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty crazy. I heard you guys talking about how this is kind of old liquidity, or people who already have kind of invested in a similar project and then just kind of doubling down. And I think that's going to kind of stay for a while until the bull. I think it's just a different type of exposure. Like if you just look at ordinals, what the value prop is that it's stored on chain. That's where the entirety of the value prop is. So whether you can do that on different chains or not is, I think, how this kind of play evolves. I know one collection on Sol, one of art collection on Sol doing that, called Blockrons. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with those, but it's stored on chain, and the art is very simple pixel art, but they're selling for 100, 150 Sol depending on the art, just because it is stored on chain. And I like that a lot. I think there's some kind of cultural significance to having the art stored on chain versus on Arweave or some other third-party storage system. And I'm actually not too familiar on the ETH side if they're doing anything like that, but I think this is a trend that's going to kind of continue.
No, I completely agree, man. And I always harp on this all the time, but I think ordinals will see its most success in one-of-one or super niche boutique collections, because the fact of it's actually immutable. So when you start to see your Atom Apes eventually, and your Scums, I know JS is rocking a Scum PFP if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Start releasing art over there. I really think that's when it'll gain a lot of its value. But yeah, man, I do want to keep this show moving. I want to talk about the recent, it just seems like the show's focused on one-of-one art, but Toonies released yesterday, and Toonies is actually led by Time Thief, awesome dude, and No Legs, who's a one-of-one artist as well. The mint was a little slow. I didn't know if it was going to mint out. I picked up a couple. I minted out a couple just to support No Legs. And then all of a sudden, a couple hours later, boom, sell out. And I think it's up like 5.5 right now. So
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was going to ask. I was going to pass it over to Joe first. Joe, did you trade Toonies at all? What are your thoughts about the mint process?
Yeah, man. So yeah, I openly traded Toonies. For me, it's legit a collectible for me. Like I'm not even like looking to trade. I'm actually looking to get all 5 hopefully, and then cool, maybe a mythic one just to hook up in my studio, just because I like digital stuff. So from a trader aspect, though, knowing that I am, that's a mindset to have that can be compounded on other people. So knowing that deflationary mechanism comes in, it's already at a 3,000 supply, right? 4.5 SOL in this market, play it on Tensor, get a bid filled even below. There's a lot of plays, a lot of value props to be had with this collection itself, along with like the one-of-one DAO drops and stuff you'll get if you hold one of these mythics afterwards, right? And they're not a one-trick pony. There is more to what they're giving out as well. So I just think that this is like a cool little niche project that we haven't seen. They're not cash grabbing. They're coming with a legit product. They're allowing you to trade it. I think the reveal process is where I'm excited to see, right? Do they go YouTube reveal theory where people, can reveal on their own, and as rares get bought up or don't get bought up and revealed, there's a better chance of getting it and you drive the price up? Or is it like an instant reveal for everybody? The volume goes crazy, you go find your toonie that you want. So yeah, man, I'm excited to burn mine, obviously, but to watch the traders kind of come out to play here.
Well said, Joe. What about you, Shake?
Yeah, I I like Joe's take. Like you could see it. I don't know if you could tell in the video, but I have like a little Wasi Pepe thing because this other NFT on ETH did collect toys, and I love that shit in my office. But I also add like the Time Thief, one of the 2 artists who worked on it is like, he's a young dude. I think well, I don't want to say, but he's like, to me, he's young. I don't know. I'm 28, but he's like so fucking hardworking. He's done a lot of commission stuff for Cyber Samurai. Like he made some like VR filters and stuff, and he's like just one of the most like consistent, reliable dudes I've worked with, like freelancer guys I've worked with, and so. I really just respect his drive. And I bought his first ever art piece that he minted, like his first ever NFT he ever sold. I bought it. And so I've known him since he literally got into NFTs. And like, I've just seen the way he works. Like this guy's like a beast, bro. Like I wouldn't discount him. And then the other thing I'll add too, is I think like if their art is done, I'm honestly a little nervous to see the reveal because it could go really wrong. It could go really right. But if it's done really right, I think these run to like 10 plus, because it's one of those things where like, people start posting them and then it's low supply and people will FOMO in. The market has some froth to it right now. Like I said, there's more liquidity flowing around. So I'm not calling it for it to go to 10. I'm just saying if the reveal's done right, this is some shit where I already have a bunch, but if the reveal's done right and I'm at my computer, I'll fucking sweep this shit because I think it has that like viral loop because the art's so unique. But if it's done wrong, man, then it could be bad. Like I said, high risk, high reward.
Go to zero. So for me, it was a bit worrying because this is how mint season is. Everything's good until it's not. And it only takes that one project to not mint out before every other project subsequently gets a little bit apprehensive about minting, and everybody else in the market on the trading side is like, oh man, I'm kind of scared. So JS, do you think that this slow mint might have reverberate to subsequent mints that are coming? I know not Solcy, but Heist is coming soon. Do you think it might affect that or any other mints that are coming out?
Well, I think there's always a few mints that no matter what the market conditions are, they'll mint out. And I look at like Klano as one of those. I look at Heist as one of those. I think those guys are going to do fantastic no matter what's happening. I don't care if FTX happens again. I think those guys are minting out. There's just too much hype around it. But then you have kind of middle tier projects that actually I don't even know that many that are launching. We kind of hear about these a week or two before they launch, and those are the types of products I think it affects. So I think with toonies is a bit different because first of all, super small supply compared to what we're normally used to. 3,000, and then you also have a ton of people from the one-of-one art scene that are buying and holding. People are buying to burn, and I think when you have that deflationary mechanism, you definitely have some type of stable floor, and people are willing to hold on to one-of-one art pieces for a lot longer. Now, there definitely are traders. I bought a bunch of these. I plan on burning a few. I plan on selling a few. So I think when that balance comes in, you kind of get this really unique price action. And like Shake said, depending on how reveal is done, these could easily, just catapult to 10. But to be honest, I don't think the downside is that much. Yeah, they could go slightly under mint, but I don't think they go that much below mint because there's just too many people invested and too many people that will support the floor.
Yeah, that's well said, JS.
It
Yeah,
reminds
go
me
ahead,
of
Shake.
Critters Cult. I feel like I
Yeah,
always
that's a
look
great
at this
point.
Critters Cult case study where they had, it was kind of slept on in the whole like flipper, like, I don't know, like the majority of the market, I think, was kind of sleeping on Critters Cult. And then it's kind of like the disbelief rally, bro, honestly, that we're talking about Bitcoin. It's similar, like how the market structure is in these situations where you have people who didn't hear about it just FOMOing in, and then people thinking it would have dipped lower who want to buy higher. But that's a really good point about the holder base being skewed towards like art collectors, because I do think that makes a
Yes.
big difference. Because dude, like
Huge.
Solana's fucking annoying. Solana's brutal, bro, because you have so many people looking to flip for literally 0.2. Like we joke about it, but that is literally how the market works. So if that changes, on a low supply, I think that's a really good point, Jess. I'm gonna buy some more now that you said that, bro.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I have. I was Joe and I are in a group chat, and I told them yesterday that I have like 20 of these, and if they stay around Mint for longer, I'm totally buying more. And I just was not brave enough to pull the trigger this morning. But if we see a dip on reveal, I'm definitely buying some more. And I think when we're talking about trading, I know a lot of us here are farming tensor points. I think it's very important to kind of separate what supply you want to market make with, and then what supply you're purely planning on flipping, and then what supply you're purely planning on holding. And when you kind of separate these three different baskets, then you're just trading in a lot more organized fashion. Because I know when I first started on Tensor and just kind of, moving around and just figuring some stuff out, I was very confused as to, which NFTs I wanted to hold, which I put in my pool, and I think this is another example of just so many different ways you can trade the same project.
Great point, JS. There's multiple ways to make money, especially with the aggregators and marketplaces that we have now. And if you have like actual conviction in a play, like JS said, you can compound a market making bag into basically free NFTs for yourself, right? That you can just chill on. So yeah, as you make yourself, kind of just clearing that out. That's a great point, JS.
Yeah, dude, JS, thanks for articulating that so well, and I do appreciate it. I want to just piggyback off of what Shake said regarding just the different type of holder base that this collection has. If you're in the one-on-one space, you're holding pieces for a very long time, and because the one-on-one space, I think, is very tight knit. It's most one-on-one artists know each other, and most people within the one-on-one community know each other as well. So if everybody's sweeping this one project, they are intent on this whole. They're content with holding it for the long run. So well said, JS. I do
appreciate it.
Oh yeah, the dog, no problem, man. But we're starting to get a little closer to the end, and this portion usually takes a bit longer than others. But I do want to jump into the alpha section. What are you looking at, Shake? Are you looking at picking up anything, trading anything short term, mid term, long term?
Dude, I feel like I have no alpha. I've been so focused on coins.
Coins are alpha?
I don't have good alpha. I mean, like, I think I'm bullish on Arbitrum. Like, I'll just talk my bag on Arbitrum. I think Arbitrum is gonna follow the I think it's gonna have this like disbelief, like insane pump after, because it looks like a lot of the tokens have been distributed from the initial airdrop recipients, and I've been looking at Nansen a lot to try to kind of like find confluence. And there's like, I think on-chain analysis can be kind of a meme, but there's wallets that are extremely profitable on like Arbitrum and Ethereum DeFi are buying a shit ton of ARB the past 2 weeks. Like they haven't been selling it, and so maybe they'll be wrong, but I'm fucking diamond handing this ARB, and I bought a bunch more around 120. So. Yeah. That's what I'm bullish on.
For anybody who follows Shake on Twitter, you know that he's been arbing all day. So yeah. I know you're deep in that ecosystem.
Arby's.
On the coin or NFT side, are you looking at anything, Joe?
Coin size, yeah. I've been stacking ETH for a minute now. I think when we had the dip back for Solana around $8, I was actually going harder into Ethereum, and then around like $1,400, I went in pretty hard too. I'm not looking, like, to be honest with you, I did have a pretty good Sol spot bag, but I I actually dumped most of it into NFTs. So all my SOL exposure now is in NFTs. My coin exposure, I have some BTC and ETH. I don't really have anything else, and I'm waiting to play kind of like I explained that alt run that I think is going to happen with BTC. Once we get the dominance resistance roll over to 40%, we'll see those alts take off. I'll play some moves there. Long term wise, no, not playing any real spot bags other than ETH and BTC, to be honest, right now.
Cool. Are you looking at trading any NFTs recently or picking anything up?
Yeah, NFT wise, man. So yeah, like I have, my Klano bag. I obviously toonies. I think sharks are severely undervalued here. I think 13 to 15 soul sharks. I see the same wallets buying and buying and buying, and I see market makers, scaring people back into that range. So that kind of just a no brainer for me. Lily and Lotus have some room up to that snapshot, but you guys know how Solana is, so take that in for consideration for sure. Wolf Capital, man, is double bottom, like hardcore on just as a TA aspect. And I know Jay Shep's got some shit in the pipeline ready to pivot and some cool stuff for NFT NYC. So, Cyber Sam, I saw Shake put out, a tweet the other day, basically don't sleep on us. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely not sleeping on y'all.
100.
That's another product, you know what I'm saying? That's another project I just love. And dude, I think deflationary mechanisms that you can buy into at a decent price for a hyped project is a no-brainer. I mean, I'm biased. My biggest bag is Klanos, but like, come on. Clay, right? They're Klanosaurs. Anything that could be made would be out of clay, correct? And those things are deflationary, right? Not saying that there'll never be new ones that could be added in or found in a way, but the initial bulk supply is going to take a hit, right? And what does that do when demand increases in any market? That asset will go up in value. And supply down, demand up. It's taught one-of-one economics. It's not hard to see. It's just people don't have that delayed gratification to play, right? The play rips off and you get instant liquidity for your clay. You go sell it $2 a pop, $2 a pop, $2 a pop, and you're out. Then you're buying back in. Then you're out. I watch wallets all day. I see what people do in the psychological events that happen when we see these things ripping. Like you saw ABC's rip, and then you saw Catalina Whales rip, and then people FOMO out of these like deflationary plays. So yeah, dude, set buy limit orders, right, at certain levels, and set yourself up from positions of strength, right? If it doesn't hit, then you have your invalidation point. It didn't hit, it's good to go. If you're in that trade, you didn't FOMO. You set yourself up a nice set limit, and it hit that, and now you have your exits and entries ready to go.
Yo, Joe, I know it's like every episode of RareFUD, we can't have one without mentioning Klanosaurs, but I completely agree with you, dog. Like, deflationary, like, don't get me wrong, primary Klanosaurus collection is going to break 100. I'm pretty confident on that. But I do think people are sleeping on a lot of opportunities with clay makers, with croissants, with tacos. All these other aspects of the ecosystem are deflationary. The only reason that I think they're significantly undervalued right now, or I mean, you can even argue that they're fairly valued because there's no utility. But because of that, as soon as that announcement's made where you're going to be able to take your croissant and turn it into a rare armor, or you're going to finally be able to use that clay to make classes, what do you think is going to happen? The floor price of what clay or whatever that asset is going to skyrocket. Right now, there's probably a ton of people like myself, like Joe, Shake, Bison, or any other person who knows this market out there is just accumulating clay, because it's unfortunate, but there's a limited time horizon of a lot of participants in this market. That's why making these momentum and narrative plays are easier sometimes, because people don't have the patience just to wait for a catalyst that they know is coming. We see this time and time again, and I think Dust is a great example of this. Pre-Utsment. Frank said for about 3-4 months that Dust was going to be used to mint Utes, and then Dust was around $1 at that time. I wonder what the play was. It was like clear as day, but the fact that the market is like, oh man, I can do other stuff in that time, and they just don't recognize the clearest play, and they rather go for something, I guess, more immediate and more speculative than something that might take a little bit longer and more guaranteed. But JS, do you have anything to say about Klanosaurs? Or are you looking at anything else on the market or picking anything up?
Yeah, for sure. So I think one major catalyst that people are talking about but not accounting for is that there are going to be a portion of DeGods who are going to sell leading into the bridge, who want to use that capital somewhere else in the ecosystem. And then I look at those projects and I say, okay, look, you have Foxes, you have Klanosaurs, you have Teo, you have a couple of big ones, whatever they may be. And I think we see kind of a universal 10% rise on all NFT floors, because when you sell a DeGod for 700 Sol and you just have a shit ton of Sol to spend somewhere else, it's got to go somewhere. And I think people, fortunately, in this market, despite Sol ranging and while BTC is pumping, whatever Sol exposure they have, they're kind of willing to put into NFTs, because when Sol ranges, that's the best time to be trading NFTs. So first of all, I think we see a 10% universal rise. Second, I think people are front running us on the toonies. They're at 6.2 already.
Yeah, you'll get front row run a lot on this show. So sorry, JS. Yeah, people sweep. Sorry,
Yeah.
we should let you know.
But you know what, JS?
That's funny, bro.
I made that point too, brother.
Sorry,
dude.
Yeah, we get front run all the time, dog.
We get front ran all the time, and it's funny though, JS, you say that, bro. Because I was thinking the same thing. I think I even said something about that same type of liquidity cycle that happened with Utes, right? You just saw it. Solana price was going up in value, and so was our blue chip NFT floor prices. That never happens. That's usually inverse, right? It only happens when there's a special liquidity event that people go, oh, I got a bunch of Sol. I don't want to sell it into USD or another, convert it or wormhole it. I'm putting it back into something that's going to appreciate for me, which is trusted projects. So my thing was like, yeah, dude, why wouldn't it happen again? It just happened 2 days ago. Like, you think it's not going to happen again? It might not happen on the scale, but it doesn't need to, right? Because that profit margin is much higher. So I'm in direct confluence with you, JS. I think that's a great point that people are overlooking.
And then secondly, I think just back to clays and claynosaurs, I get the long-term narrative and like the time horizon that you guys are talking about with clays. But for me, like, I think this is a good time, one of the few times to snipe rares on Solana, because people are using armor for clays, and they don't want to do it on some just floor dinosaur, right? They want to, if this project has no utility, which seemingly it doesn't, which is fine, right? But they're very forward about that. If you're doing it for like a aesthetic, then now's the time to find like new traits or skins that people aren't valuing as high, because there are a lot of cool like colors that are on the floor that don't get as appreciated. But I think when armor comes into play, suddenly we'll see a new trait kind of become popular. And I look at this kind of similar to Utes, where all the traits are very evenly distributed, but you have few that are just 2x the floor, 3x the floor. And I think something is going to be very similar with clays. I think I don't have any right now, any of this trait, but I think some of the orange ones on the floor should get.
Somebody's about to front run you now, JS. Congrats.
I mean, I'm not buying clays right now. I told Joe, my number is 78. I'll put in like a couple of collection bids on Tensor. 78. That's my number. Until then, I have my 3 that I'm just holding for now, and then we'll see kind of how the rest of the market lines up, and then with Heist coming seemingly in 2 weeks, and then I know there's a couple minutes at the end of April. I think we have some momentum to keep going forward. Someone has to take the volume.
Yeah, and that's 2 points I do want to bring up. First, I was going to talk a little bit more claynosaurs, and then I want to go into what collection do you guys would think takes the number 1 and 2 spot. But first, regarding claynosaurs, I think it's really genius about the armor. One of the most hype parts of any NFT is either minting or releasing new art for an existing collection. The armor upgrade, in my opinion, for claynosaurs will act as that armor upgrade, which once that dynamic is introduced, people will begin to look for those skins that are undervalued, because they're like, oh man, this skin on its own might not have looked good, but with armor, this thing is going to slap. So I really think that's going to be another catalyst. And that's one thing that claynosaurs does well, is they have meticulously planned out all these different catalysts that'll keep interest and keep people talking about their project. Now, that leads into who you guys think will take the number 1 spot and 1 and 2 spot after DGods leaves. In my opinion, and yes, I do have a claynosaur bag, so I just want to put that out there, but not only because I'm bullish on my bags, but I just think the team is doing everything properly, really setting themselves up to take that number 1 spot. What about you? Let's go to you first, JS. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's clays pretty handily. If you look at like DGod's utility, it's always number go up, and there's a kind of vibe and community that kind of drives the NFT value. And people seemingly always forget that like the number one utility for NFTs is number go up. And then number two is that it's basically all derived in social capital. And there is no community right now that has the social capital that clays do. It's just not even close. And this is how you get these kind of meteoric just nukes and like you go if you remember the original DeGod run up, it went from 50 to 200 in like a day and a half.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So I think we see something really similar. It's just about timing it, and I don't know when exactly that's going to be. And while I feel underexposed, it's also very important to kind of stay disciplined and not chase entries. That in case the pullback is now, you don't want to keep yourself in a spot that you're uncomfortable holding.
Is
well said,
Claynosaurz
man.
already the number 2 project?
Something like that.
Okay.
I mean, if we
Probably.
check,
Where do you guys
if we
look? I'm
go
looking at
by-
Hyperspace, but I don't know if that's up to date or like correct.
Would Tensor show it?
I don't know if you can. This is the way I used to do it, but I don't know if
Yeah, they're above
market cap.
ABC now. Yeah, so it's Claynos.
That's crazy.
For
To me. I
look,
didn't
if
even
we
realize
want to
that.
say, let's look at a weekly standpoint because that's when the gods will be gone, and it's within a week. Let's say right completely. So yeah, you can
I
say
think they're number one if you look
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah, Claynos would be right around that $900,000 market cap for 7 days, and you got ABC at 665. So
I'm not counting step in, right? So then
No,
Claynos are
yeah.
number one starting
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, they will be, and by a landslide. And I
didn't
do
realize
think that will create that black hole liquidity event where people go, you know what? I don't want to trade for a $1.75 flip. I want to just buy one of these Claynos and chill, like appreciate my value cost because they're number one now, and they are like that's such a visual. People really need to see visual things, visceral things right there and now, right? And before, oh, is it going to be number one? It has no. Now you see it. It's on Magic Eden. It's on your favorite place. It says number one.
This is the visceral thing you need.
Yeah,
This
exactly. Yeah,
chart right
visceral,
here.
right? And the USD chart looks even crazier if you switch over to USD value. If you go to Soul Sniper, it's crazy. So like, and my thing is here, guys. They've rewarded people that have gone to these events, right? You got to realize they're going to reward holders next. You see the 2 new species that they put out. There's so many ways that they're ready to reward and keep this weaponized speculation going. Like they get it as well. Like so, yeah. Go to the top and change that to USD for me, Shake.
Also, another thing while you guys are pulling up the chart, I mean, New York is coming, and
Yeah.
they have an event in New York just announced today, the 13th.
Inverse H&S, baby, building. Sorry, Jay.
Yeah, all good. And then we always talk about it. It's like, what project can get ETH money into Sol? And I mean, I don't think there's any other product that holds like a candle at this point.
No,
Like,
agreed.
It's
Not even close.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone's bullish on it for a reason, and you see people accumulating from mint who haven't even sold because they think this is still like
And people don't realize the
that.
MMO game theory behind it. Like they don't even realize what it's going to be, right? Like, and I think they really need to go listen to the Mark Colsa podcast because then you start to realize this isn't just a project I'm looking to get rich from. This is like I might have a foot entry to step into the door into something that could be massive, right? A huge IP play here too. So yeah, I mean, there's money to be made on the micro here, but there's also a chance to really like appreciate your soul value if that's what you want, or really get a step into something that could be massive.
Yeah, dude, I agree with that, man. I think what projects typically do when they do airdrops is just to keep that attention going. But sometimes a lot of projects have done it wrong in the past, where dropping these new airdrops confuses the audience and I think devalues the collection a lot. When I think Trip and A-Tribe, not to hit on them a lot, but when they came out, they went from like people were buying their mint tokens for like 80 SOL. They went down to, I think they're sitting around 8 to 10 SOL right about now. They came out with several airdrops, but their airdrops didn't do anything to help the floor price. It just was useless. But I think where Claynosaurz is going right is that because everything is so meticulous and everybody knows there's a plan and everybody knows how each one of these will tie into the overall greater ecosystem, that's why they're so successful doing all these airdrops where other projects has failed.
I need to watch that interview you're talking about, Joe. I haven't seen that yet because I honestly don't. I kind of get at a high level the MMO strategy. But I feel like I'm gonna watch that and then just fucking want to go all in again.
Dude, it made me go all in when I realized who the people actually were, like what this guy's actually done. Like, he's like actually been the top guy to check over things on Game of Thrones, like all these big animation projects. Like, I mean, and then their CEO is like a hedge fund guy that's been, with, I mean, just I can't even go over how many things they've like dropped. And I was like, dude, I didn't even realize this about the team. Like the team set up very well. They've been through their Web 2 trials and tribulations, for going out, getting money, bringing that money back in, producing things like, and just they have a pipeline. And it's like they're using Solana obviously because of the transaction fees. Obviously, they can drop what they want to do and expand how they want to expand on Solana. But I don't think this is going to handcuff them here. I think ETH money will come here if they haven't already to see like, all right, this is seamless. And then the MMO comes in last, right? Like we're building the infrastructure and community. They did it smart, right? I don't think they planned on doing all this stuff intermediate. They had their macro lens, and then they decided like, oh, we got to keep things speculative because that's just how it works on this chain. Like if we want to go get money, like any other person would out there in the world, that we have to give some people a reason to stick around, and that they're doing it beautifully.
Yeah, well said, man. I think a lot of, once again, don't want to bang up on Bubble Goose, but that's where other IP plays went wrong in the past. That's why I kind of initially faded Claynosaurus, because these IP plays had this grand vision, and I do think Carl can execute on it. But at the same time, you have to give something back to your holders. You just can't raise money and be like, yo, appreciate it, dog. Now y'all just going to chill till the show comes out, and, I don't even know if you'll get anything from that. So Claynosaurus is the only IP project, or at least one of the few, in my opinion, who's done a great job of balancing that Web 2 progression and expansion with ensuring that their Web 3 holders are taken care of.
And then one thing, if we're going to talk about just products in general, we saw a while ago, like the one of one art scene kind of got a big boost in PFP projects and pixelated PFP projects, to be specific. That's where you kind of saw hotheads go from like 80 to now like 400. And I think we're going to see a lot more abstract and illustrative pieces hit the timeline. Fortunately, I talked to a lot of these guys kind of behind the scenes and see what's kind of been cooking up. And I think over the course of the next month, we'll see a lot. In NYC, there's a JT List curation, which has all the huge artists. You have John Lay, you have Scum, you have Highblinks, you have Nev, who's a great photographer. And it's when you have these events, interest is just there because the people that are already involved, particularly when those people are smart or talented. And I think we kind of see that compounding from that gallery event alone.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that insight, JS, and I appreciate you freaking chiming in on that. But guys, we're approaching the end of the show, and we're about to wrap up here. Does anybody have any final words that they want to say?
Thank you to JS and Shake for coming out, guys. I really appreciate that, man. Everyone loved that. Two big dudes in the Solana ecosystem, and I appreciate your insights, man, and hindsights out here, brothers. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Shout out Steve, aka Coach. Vadrus, I forget how you say.
Oh yeah, Coach is a legend.
Casanova. I see a bunch of people I know in here. Glad it's made my day for you guys to have me, so I appreciate it.
Toonies are at 6.5.
Of course, the RareFUD pump. But I appreciate you coming on, Shake, especially last minute. JS, thanks for coming by too, man. We wanted to have you on with Soul Buckets, but I know you were busy, so better late than never. You guys, I guess Bison will be happy to know that it took Shake and JS to replace him. So a huge shout out to you both. Huge thank you to the audience as well. I say this every show, but we wouldn't be here without you guys. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to us or usually 3, ramble about some JPEGs. And even though you guys front run us all the time, we appreciate you guys tuning in to episode 64 of RareFUD Radio, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.